Now we're
Okay.
on Beitzah, Daf Ches. So we're talking about Ba'afar Tichuach, like sand, very loose dirt that doesn't require Katisha. But when he lifts up the dirt, he's creating like a ditch. And why isn't that a malach of boneh? So he doesn't want the ditch. He wants the dirt. So it's a malach of potra because it's a kilkul. Rashi says the kivin ve'enu tzarich el lafara. He only wants the dirt v'lo leguma ain't a boneh. And v'lo chorosh, and it's makalkel. Chol makalkelim pturim. Okay, so it's malacha shein tzrich legufa. It's not a malacha gemura because it's also a kilkul. Then the Mishnah said efer kira muchanhu. Ashes in a stovetop is also considered muchan, prepared for kisui adam. So the Gemara, Efer Kira, who was talking about Efer Kira? Where did this parachute in? Amar Rabbi Achi Kamar. You should know. You said you needed muchan. Efer Kira muchanu. Efer Kira is an example of something that's sort of a universal cover. Amar Rav, that's lo shal shusak me'erev yontiv. That you have to light the fuel erev yontiv. Avalusak b'yontiv aser. But if you lit it at yontiv and then it cooled off, you can't use it anymore. But imroy litzlos bo beitzah. Remember, you're allowed to cook on yontiv. So if the ash is still hot enough that you could put an egg in it and cook the egg, mutter. Since it's useful to cook the egg, it's useful for kisui adam as well. If you had a fakira erev yontif, certainly it's muchan. Halusik b'yontif aser, if it cooled off. But imroy litzos bo beitzah, if the ash is still warm enough that you can cook a beitzah, then it's mutter to be used for kisui adam. Another case, you brought in a box of dirt to be used for gardening or to cover your floors if they were moist. So you've already designated the dirt to be used for certain things. You got a general permit to use it. You could also use it for kisui adam. His mind is on it. Person could carry in, without saying what he's using it for, a box of wood, a box of dirt. He puts it in a certain place. He could do whatever he wants with that wood, including kisui adam. As long as he designated a place for it. Okay. Meisvei. I'll ask you a kasha. Kvi. Kvi is a hybrid between a deer and a goat. It's like a mountain goat. And throughout Shas, it's a suffix exactly, is it a behema or is it a chaya? Or is it a beri b'fnei atzma? The various nafkaminas would be, so number one, there is no kisui adam by a behema. There's only kisui adam by a chaya and a nov. Number two, you can eat the chaylev of a chaya. You cannot eat the chaylev of a behema. So it leads to problems. Kvi ain't shoychti noisa b'yontiv. You're not allowed to shecht a kvi on yontiv because yishum d'shem achayahu v'tzarach kisui. It might be a chay and requires kisui. V'uenei achal chasas b'yontiv because it might be a behema and you're not allowed to dig dirt for a behema because a behema doesn't require kisui. Now, im shachto, you violated the rule and you shechted it, then ein mechasen es damai. You can't do the kisui because it might be a behema. The yisa. Now, if you just told me before that a person can carry a box of dirt into his house and use it for whatever he wants. If that's true, says the Gemara, l'chasi ken Rav Yehuda. So what's wrong with shechting a kvi? You could use it for whatever you want. And it's already been muchan. You don't have to dig. You're not doing any extra work for the behema. So the Gemara, well, the tamech, when you have to come up to that, L'chasi for kira b'dakar? No, it's what do you mean? We already said if you have ash from a stovetop, you can use it. Or if you have a shovel in the ground already, you can use it. So you don't need the box. You have other sources. Must be, says the Gemara, Deleslik. He doesn't have that. So he doesn't have any dirt to do kisu. That's why you can't check them. Then why are you asking me about a sofek chay, a sofek behema? I feel a vaday chay. You have a deer. You shouldn't shecht it if you don't have the dirt to cover it. Or it says loma boy cover. This Baraisa was in a structure of not only this but this also, meaning loma boy, not only a case of vaday de loy lishchot. Certainly, if I had a vaday deer, I couldn't shecht because I don't have aval sofek, but maybe sofek kvi, maybe emibishum simchas yontif. Listen, what's the problem? I'm going to do some katisha. I'm going to do a little aveira on yontif, but that's a lotaseh. I have a mitzvah saseh of v'samachta b'chagecha ein simcha lebabosar v'yayin. I have an aseh to shecht meat. So just like we have an aseh of tzitzis, and if I attach wool to linen and I make tzitzis, it makes klayim. The aseh of tzitzis overrides the lav of klayim. So here the Gemara wants to say, I would think that al safek, the safek kvi, the simchas yontif will override it. And don't cover it at all. Kamash Malon, no, we shouldn't shecht it lechatchila either. Afraid the Gemara, what do you mean? If you shechted it, we say in mechasnes damo, you wait until nightfall to do kisui. Well, if they're telling you you have dirt, you don't use it, must be you have dirt. Amar Rabba gives a different teretz. When you say that an Efer Kira is considered muchan to do kisui, it's only muchan for a vadai chaya, but for a suffix it's not muchan. So the Gemara says, I understand. The suffix my time alone. Kavid guma. Why? Because you're making the ditch. Vadai nami. In the other case, you're also making the ditch. Elik Ravaba. So what are you going to tell me, like Ravaba, that you want the offer and it's Malacha Shein Tzricha L'Guf Achanamik in Ravaba. So the same way the other way. It should be the same whether it's a suffix or not a suffix. Ela suffix my time Dilmavid Ketisha, we're going to chop it. So Vadai Daming Nigzer Mishum Ketisha. So the Gemara says that's not a problem because Vadai, I have a Vadai Chaya Ki Ka'avid Ketisha Asi Aseh V'Dach. As we said, the Aseh of Simchas Yontif will come to be Doicha this Los Aseh. However, an assay is doich lo say in a specific manner. For example, you have tsaras on the foreskin. There's a law to cut off the tsaras before the kohen looks at it. But if it's the 8th day of a child, the assay of mila is doicha the cutting off the tsaras, the tsaras. But the lav and the assay happen at the same time. Or inami sadin betzitzis. I attach woolen tzitzis to the linen garment. At the moment I make the tzitzis, I make the shatnez. To be either the komakar lav, komakim lav, at the same moment. But hacha, here when I shecht, the dam is there, it's a separate act. And now the either the komakar lav, la mukim aseh, I didn't do the aseh of simchas yontif. That happened somewhere else. It's not simultaneous. So it was haloi kash, about the kodesh, komachasi. Perhaps the same moment when I did the katisha, I did the covering.
Is the issue of putting tzitzis on without putting it on you, or if you just put a gedila matasa when you put it on, is that where the issue comes of kalayim, or when you actually put the linen on the wool together? If you sew it, is that actually is that the issue?
No, the issue is to wear it.
Yeah, so this is not the same time then.
Well, forget it. Yeah, you ask a good kasha, but the milat saras is exactly the same time, correct?
That's the same time. That come when once. I see. You mean you want to say you put it on and then you put it on. You put it together.
Yeah, because your makayim sits also with levisha. You understand, Alan? The levisha gives you both. It's the same thing. The levisha, there's no tzitzis if you put it in your. You're not makayim tzitzis by having the tzitzis in a drawer.
But so you're not over. But you're not over anything.
No. So the levisha of the tzitzis. You're over the kloim and you get the mitzvah at the same time. it is simultaneous.
Right, okay.
Because there's no lav either. By attaching the wool to the linen, there's no lav either. The lav is wearing it.
No, but by the tsaras with the mila, that's the same time.
It's exactly the same time by tzitzis too. Because
Okay.
levishas, you only get the mitzvah of tzitzis when you're loivish it. And you only get the lav of climb when you're loivish it. So it's exactly the same example.
Okay, sure.
However, the Gemara says we don't have a solution because Yontif isn't just a lav. Yontif is called Shabbaton. So there's an assay of Shvus. You must rest on Yontif. So Yontif is a combination of an assay and lotasay. And an assay is not going to be doicha, a combination of an assay and a lotasay, right? So if Yontif assay velotasay, uvein assay doicha, is also assay v'assay. So El Omer Rava, Efer Kira Daito Levadoi. The person, when he has Efer Kira, he has his mind on using it for Kisui Adam for a Vadai Chaya. But Vein Daito L'Sofek. Was the Rav Tamei. And Rav is consistent. Omer Rav. He has a child running around in his house. And the child is going to perhaps, Sofek, have Soa, which he wants to cover with dirt, right? Because he wants to daven there, wants to think about Torah. So Hichnis offer Lachasus Poitsoya, that's only a Sofek, but he has a bird that he knows Vada he's going to shecht on Yontif. The din is, even though he brought it in only al Sofek, Mutter Lachasus Poidam Tzipur. He can use it to cover the Vadai bird he's going to shecht. Now, if he brings in dirt because of the Vadai Dam Tzipur, also Lachasus Poitsoy. He didn't have his mind on a Sofek. So you see, Rava connects the two. And that's why Rava has this concept, the Efer Kira Daito Levadai, the Ein Daito L'Sofek. However, the Nahar Bloy Amri, not like Rava, Afilu Yichnis Rava L'Chasus Poidam Tzipur, Mortal L'Chasus Poitsoya, that even if he brings something in for Vada, he can use it for a Sofek. Amri Bar Rava Pliki Rav Yosef Rav Cham Rav Zeira. Amri La Rav Yosef Rav Cham Rav Zeira. Chad Amar Kvi Ari Ketzoya. The Kvi, which is a Sofek, is like the Tzoya din. And therefore, if you bring in dirt to cover Tzoa, you can cover the Dam Kvi. Both are Sofek, so they're treated equally. V'chad Amar Kvi Eina Ketzoa. The other mandomer doesn't hold. And I'll prove to you this time the Rava who Domar Kvi Areo Ketzoa, where they eat the Amar Rava Ichnis Rav L'Chasus Poitzoya, you bring it in for a Sofek, Mutter L'Chasus Poitam Tzipor. So you bring it in for a Sofek, you can certainly use it. Dam Tzipor as L'Chasus Poitzoya, that's certainly a good raya that the mandomer is Rav. Rami Braid Rav Yeva Omar Kvi Ainu Time Adol Chasinon. It's a different reason why we don't do Kisui Adam by Kvi. Gzeira Mishum Ataras Chelbo. Marasayim, people will see you doing Kisui. They'll think it's a Chaya. They know that you can eat the Chelev of a Chaya. And they'll eat the Chelev of this animal. But this animal might be a Behema where it's awesome. So it's a Gzeira why you shouldn't do Kisui. And L'chora, initially we talked about on Yontif, but Iyacha Fila B'chol Nami. Well, according to this reasoning, it should be also to do Kisui on a Kvi even on Wednesday. So, somebody sees a person scattering dirt in his backyard, doesn't know that there's dam there. He thinks he's cleaning his backyard. So maybe it's not a real Mara sign. They won't come to eat the chaylev. But the Gemara says, Shachat bashba Michael Emar. But if they see him sprinkling the dirt in a garbage dump where there's no reason to clean it up, then there would be a Mara sign. And that would be a problem to do on Wednesday as well. Or Balimolech Michael Emar, if it came just to ask a Shaila, and somebody heard him paskin a certain way, would lead to a problem. Ela b'choli nami misavka. He was in doubt what to do about shechting a kvi in chol. Armile rabbanon zil torch v'chosi. B'yontiv. They told him, go and be torch b'kisu even on yontiv. Now, Imesapka, if he was in doubt even in Chol, why would the Rabbanan tell him go and do it? So Tony Rab Zer lo kvi bilvad amru. Not even a kvi is where they had a problem. Let's say you're shechting a behema and a chayin all in one place, and v'nis arvu daman zebezeh. Also l'chasois b'yontiv. You shouldn't do a chisur on yom. Well, that's because you're not supposed to do work for behema because there's no din of chisur for behema. And on Rabbi Yossi bar Yassina lo shono lo shen yochel l'chasois b'dkira achas. That's only if you cannot in one action cover it. Because too much of a yachal chaz b'kira achas when you have the shovel in the ground already mutter. So pshita maratzam and nixer t'kira achas understand the kiras. Maybe I wouldn't allow you to do even one because you might come to do two. Kamash malon that you're allowed to do one. Amar Rabba shachat tzipor me'erev yontif. You shechted a bird from erev yontif and there's dam there you didn't cover it. Ein mechas nasa b'yontif. You don't do the kisui on yontif. And we'll learn the rest tomorrow. So
Okay, what time tomorrow?
we said tomorrow is some